Well, ladies and gentlemen, if we're ready to resume our seats, we think we've got the technology to work. And if it has, we're very grateful to our technicians because we didn't have the equipment needed to get this Zoom interview transmitted, and they've cobbled together from harvesting. It's been like that Apollo moon mission, getting people back to base. Hopefully, it will work. Right. Thank you very much. And people are taking their seats. Michael, I think you can see me. I'm stood up. I'm going to wave my clipboard at you. That's great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you for the closing session to welcome the Department for Levelling Up Secretary, Michael Gove. Now, can I just identify outside of my side who has got the roaming mics, please? Who's got the roving mics? Sarah. So Sarah's got a roving mic. If you want to ask Michael Gove a question, do just get ready to indicate to me, and we'll get on, but I'll start the conversation. Michael, thank you for joining us. You published your white paper on levelling up. It started with devolution. That was where you started. Then you went into planning reform and things like mayoral development corporations and measures for high streets and measures for increasing housing. It was a very large white paper in terms of the measures that you proposed. How much difference will it make in what kind of time scale, do you think?
Well, thank you very much, Graham, and great to be able to talk to you all today. As you all know, the Prime Minister is in Kiev, and I'm in Manchester. Once I found myself, for once I should say, I found myself on the wrong side of the Pennines, but I'll leave that to others to decide which the right side of the Pennines to be on a beautiful day like today. But you're right, the Levelling Up White Paper is deliberately ambitious, and it sets 12 missions, which we hope to achieve by 2030, and they are designed to improve pay and productivity across the whole United Kingdom, to improve research and development spend, to improve education, to see more young people between the ages of 16 and 19 studying for high-level skills qualifications. So there are 12 key areas where we're focusing attention. But we recognize that as well as change in these big policy areas that we aim to achieve by 2030, there are other things that we need to do quicker. Levelling up is a process which can only be completed over the long term, but it requires all of us to secure visible change on the ground in the communities that we love. And that is why the Levelling Up White Paper is accompanied with the Levelling Up Fund, the UK Share Prosperity Fund, and other interventions that are designed to ensure that members of parliament like those of the NRG can deliberately, working with local communities, shape the investment that will help to make their communities even more attractive for the private sector investment, which is ultimately going to be the key to success.
Of course, a lot of the levelling up proposals that you're suggesting have been piloted elsewhere. I'm from Tees Valley, and you've been to Tees Valley to see levelling up in action. This white paper really codifies some of the best practice that's been underway in the existing mayoral authorities. Is that a fair assessment?
I think it is. And I think a mayoral model isn't right for everyone, but greater devolution, I think, is critically important. I think there is a big link between the fact that the United Kingdom, England, is one of the most politically centralized nations in the world, and also geographically unequal. And as the Prime Minister has said, if you've got talent equally spread across the whole United Kingdom, an opportunity not, you need to address that. One of the ways to unlock opportunity is to have strong, accountable local leaders who have a mission to deliver on economic transformation. And I think that Ben Houchen in Tees Valley is the single best exemplar of that, not just because he won politically against the tide of expectations when he was first elected, but particularly because in the 4 years that he had before facing re-election, he was able to take a series of steps using his planning and convening powers and a limited but nevertheless useful budget to change the economic opportunities and prospects in the Tees Valley. And as a result, he and others reaped a direct political benefit. And again, Ben is a supremely talented figure, but there are many local politicians who, and indeed local people from the business community, who, if given that sort of power and flexibility, can effect a similar transformation.
Right, so Ben also managed to use his default budget and borrow against it, which gave him more power. And the first thing he did was a big landmark thing. He bought an airport, and that certainly got him off the ground.
Yes,
Unintentional
I think
fun
that Ben's success showed that if you've got someone who's pro-business, and that's the critical thing, then they can use the power of local government in order to create the right climate for investment. And you're right, both making sure that he acquired the airport and transformed it, but also the work that he's done in transforming the T-Sport site and making sure that we can have effective brownfield regeneration. So where steel was once proudly made, we now have an opportunity for the wind turbines and the batteries of the future to be manufactured. And Ben's done that by working with major investors, but also harnessing some of the enterprise that exists locally. And Ben's also been working to ensure that all of the ingredients that the private sector needs to invest, the right sort of planning powers, the right sort of infrastructure, but also the right skills are there as well. And he's been effective and active in working with local FE colleges and others in order to make sure that there's a pipeline of talent in order to make sure that investment sticks.
That's right. Now, we're going to go to our audience in a moment, but I'm going to put an awkward question to you. I'm sorry about this. Of course, we've heard from Jake today of the three proposals he's put for government. One is a radical sort of Barnett formula, a sort of entrenched formula for levelling up. Another is to have a Devo Max government that allows maximum devolution of power, even the power to lower tax in your own area. And another is for central housing targets to be scrapped in devolution areas and locally to have control of stamp duty. Now, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but do any of those proposals meet with the kind of expectations you want of your department to change the rules? And would the Cabinet look at them favourably, do you think?
Well, I have to be careful for two reasons. One, normally when Jake floats an idea, it becomes government policy sooner rather than later. That's already been the case. Many of the ideas in the Levelling Up white paper were born from the work that Jake and other Northern Research Group colleagues did with the CPS and through other fora. So what Jake predicts on a Friday often becomes government policy by Monday. But the other reason I have to be careful, and I will engage with detail in a second, is that when it comes to some of the big public spending questions, like a Barnett formula for the North, I have to be careful not to preempt the Treasury. So I think that both Rishi and Simon Clarke would be a little bit concerned if I were to outline what the spending review in 2 years' time is going to conclude. But I would say three things. The first is that we do need to ensure that there is a fairer spread of government funding across the whole of the United Kingdom. Transport funding in the past has been disproportionately concentrated in London and the South East. Arts and culture funding has been disproportionately concentrated in London and the South East.
Right.
That is changing. Grant has changed the way in which transport funding is being allocated to tilt money deliberately towards the Midlands, the North and the South West. And culture funding has been deliberately redirected by Nadine in order to ensure that, for example, every new penny of Arts Council spending is spent outside the South East. So the direction of travel is clear. How we, embed that in a formula, that is something that I will be discussing with the Treasury, knowing that Jake's argument will have resonance. On Devo Max, absolutely. My own view is that we should try to give the maximum tax-raising flexibility to local government. And as Ben Hatchett has pointed out, were he to have control of business rates, he could do even more to attract enterprise to his area. On housing numbers, this is such a complex and fraught debate that it's probably best if I say, watch this space. In July, we will be bringing forward a prospectus on how the National Planning Policy Framework will work. But I know that one of the things that we need to do is to make sure that we have a more equitable spread of housing supply and delivery across the whole of the UK.
Well, that's a very interesting answer, Michael. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to ask for people to show hands, and if they want to ask questions, hands are going up. So bear in mind while we get the microphones to you. Sarah, where are you? Because we've got here, this gentleman here. And you may not be able to see the people, Michael, but I know you'll be able to hear the questions. Speak up now, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Gove. My name's Oliver. I'm a councillor in Stockport, which is obviously part of Greater Manchester. And the question I want to touch upon, you mentioned accountability with the Metro Mayor model. Mr. Burnham runs Greater Manchester a bit like his own personal fiefdom, with limited avenues for scrutiny and a group of city halls and town halls around him, which he works very closely with, spending vast sums of taxpayers' money. How do we close that accountability deficit, that real accountability deficit in the Metro Mayor model?
Thank you very much. Michael?
Yeah, I think there is a big issue here. I think that whatever one thinks of any individual policy or proposition that Andy Burnham has put forward, it's definitely the case that there has been a scrutiny and an accountability gap. And the Levelling Up and Regeneration Bill includes powers to ensure strengthened scrutiny and stronger accountability of mayors of combined authorities. And I think that's absolutely vital, because it's only when you have empowered leaders from Bury, Bolton, Stockport, Tameside, and beyond being able to hold Andy Burnham or whoever his successor is to account, that you can get effective governance. And I have been struck by, and indeed it's even been raised during the course of my time in Manchester today, struck by the fact that people want to ensure that there is greater scrutiny, and they have noticed that that has been absent.
Thank you very much, Michael. We're going to our next question, which is at the back of the hall. You probably won't be able to see the gentleman. The gentleman here.
Hello, Mr. Gove. My name's Tony Bogle. I run automotive businesses in West Yorkshire. Very passionate about our region here. It's a great area, and I think it's just been a bit of a shame that, again, the Bradford area has suffered due to some of the decisions that have been made recently. And also, in our area here, connectivity between Leeds, Sheffield, Manchester is critical for the development of this region. And now, at the moment, if you want to travel from Leeds to Manchester, sometimes you can be a couple of hours, and you're either stuck on the car park on the M62, or you're stuck on the train network there as well. So if we're being serious about levelling up, we need to look at our local area here. There's a massive population in this particular M62 corridor, and also Bradford. It's the youngest population in the UK, and it needs to become brought more forward so that it can take advantage of some of the opportunities which the government is creating at the moment in the area.
That's a fantastic question. Of course, we have in Yorkshire and Humberside the same population as Scotland. So it is an interesting point you say about the number of people. Michael Gove.
Yeah, I think there are three very important points there. The first is connectivity east-west and across the north. It does need to improve. I'm sitting in the offices of AJ Bell, a fantastic financial services company set up by Andy Bell in Manchester. One of the points that he was making to me is that sometimes when he hears politicians talking about levelling up, it's as though it's all about connectivity to London and the south rather than connectivity within and across the north. And you are absolutely right. Connectivity from essentially an arc from Hull to Liverpool, but particularly within West and South Yorkshire and across to Greater Manchester and to Merseyside is absolutely essential if we're going to get the economic growth that we need, and there is more that we need to do there. The second thing is devolution itself, I think, is now gathering pace in Yorkshire. And whatever one thinks of the individuals, the fact that we now have metro mayors in South Yorkshire and in West Yorkshire, and I hope soon in York and North Yorkshire, will mean that Yorkshire's voice is amplified. And I think that there could be a sort of rivalrous emulation or friendly competition for the right economic policies between those three mayoral combined authorities in order to try to get both the investment from government, but also the investment from the private sector that Yorkshire deserves. Final point I would make about Bradford. Of course, it's our city of culture, and that's a reflection of the fact that given Bradford's past, but in particular, as you quite rightly point out, its vitality, the youthfulness of its population, everything from the film museum to the university, Bradford has a lot to boast about. And one of the things that we do need to do is to make sure that we leverage all of the opportunities that being City of Culture can bring.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, next question. I'm looking at the audience and the gentleman with the beard down there. Yes, check shirt, that's it. We'll get the microphone to you. Okay.
Hello, my name's Andrew. I realised the Levelling Up document white paper was quite large. Many people here, I'm assuming, have relied more, their judgment on it is relied more on the media's reading and feeding back than them reading it themselves. One of the things that has fed back is a reoccurring theme of devolution, levelling up being a series of pots of money that the final decision on who gets that money being made in Whitehall rather than locally. We could solve a lot of our regional issues, be it transport or inequality, by devolution being about local infrastructure decisions being made by local people with taxes raised locally.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Fair question.
Oh, I completely agree. And I think one of the challenges is that essentially since the 70s, where there had been a tendency towards the accretion of power to the centre, and there were a variety of reasons why local government found that both its tax-raising powers and its powers overall were diminishing relative to the centre, and it happened across governments of left and right. I think that things only really began to change after George Osborne created the principle of the Northern Powerhouse and established the principle of mayoral combined authorities. That change of direction has gathered pace under Boris's leadership, hence the creation of the additional powers that the white paper talks about. But we need to go further. And I think that the point you make about the multiplicity of different pots, most of which are administered from Whitehall in the first instance, is right. What we really need to do is to be in a position where we allocate revenue, allocate capital to local communities and allow them to prioritise in line with local people's wishes.
Okay. Michael, I'm going to just ask one more question of my own and then wrap because we're just running out of time. And that is this. I know from my own work in my day job with Ben Houchen that he has used a lot of the powers that are there. For instance, mayoral development corporations. There's one at the Olympic Park in London. There's one at the Tees Works site that you alluded to in Teesside. Ben Houchen has now established 2 more, and Andy Burnham has established 1. But other mayors, Mayor Brabin in West Yorkshire, Mayor Driscoll in Newcastle, mayors in the south at Sheffield, they haven't really yet grasped and taken the powers that they have and used it. Is there any way to tutor them, to school them, to encourage them to take advantage of the abilities they already have?
I think you're absolutely right. One of the things that we do need to do is to encourage people to exercise the powers that they have. There are some people who I think, and no one in this room does, but there are some people who underappreciate the extent of mayoral powers to make a difference in terms of economic development. And I think what I need to do is to point to and shout about the benefits that have accrued so that local communities press whoever is their elected mayor to use those powers for economic ends. Because again, I think the key thing that, as you know, Graham, that Ben will always say is that ultimately his job is to pioneer and lead economic development above all, and that should be the single most important criterion by which any local leader is judged. What are you doing in terms of bringing jobs, bringing high quality jobs, and improving the attractiveness of your area for investment? And mayoral development corporations are integral to that. So one of the things that I'll be doing whenever I next see Tracy Brabin or Oliver Coppard or Steve Rotherham is asking them, why aren't they more like Ben?
Good one. Thank you very much. Michael, you've also been very generous with your time, rearranging your diary to stand in last minute. Thank you. We all appreciate it, and we'll give you a round of applause in the usual way. That was very good. And to round up our conference, here we have Mary Robinson, MP for Cheadle.
Thank you, Greg. Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and thank you for being here. Thank you for staying here and resisting the urge to dash out and enjoy the Doncaster sunshine, or as Nick Fletcher called it, sunny Donny. I'd like to thank all of the people who've helped with this conference today. It's been brilliant. IX Wireless, Electricity North West, our sponsors, Northern Powerhouse Partnership, who have been pivotal in organising this event, and of course Doncaster Racecourse. What a fantastic venue this has been. It's my pleasure to be wrapping up what has been a wonderful inaugural conference for the NRG, and I feel it is my job to do three things. Firstly, to say on behalf of my colleagues, thank you. Thank you for being here today. Not only that, but thank you for your support. While the naysayers and the Labour Party alike were dismissing our chances in the north of England, you stayed the course. Without you, our members, there would be no NRG. And without you, there would be no Conservative majority. You managed to get Brexit done. You managed to keep Jeremy Corbyn out of office. And you managed to turn the Labour heartlands blue. Thank you. My second job, which has been made much easier through the various conversations today and the breakout sessions with you all, is outlining why we're here. Every member of the NRG and every person in this room, including all of you, will have a slightly different answer to this. For some, it will be more about the specifics, the policies. What is the plan for education, homes and schools in the north? For many of you, this will have been the first opportunity since 2019 to see everybody, to get together in person. I know I am just one voice among many, but I'm here for a reason that I think binds us all together. Inequality. We are and remain a deeply unequal country, and we simply cannot continue to accept that a child born in the south can live 10 years or more longer than a child born in areas of the deprived north. Years and years of additional life granted to one over another based solely on geography. It's not just at the end of life, inequality runs through every aspect of our country. Education, London scores the highest, followed by the South East, bottom of the table, the North East. In fact, in 2021, a year when many students were picking up grades for work done remotely, every region saw a slight increase in pupils awarded a grade C at A level. According to Ofqual, every region that is, except the North East. Smoking rates stand at about 14% nationally. In Blackpool, about 24% of people smoke. Wages, educational attainment, overall health. We are a bitterly unequal country. And this isn't just an issue on the fringe, far away from London, that has no national impact. As the Institute for Health Equity put it, we need to do something different or nothing will change. If we keep doing what we've done in the past, inequalities will continue to worsen. The case for reducing health inequalities is clear. They are unnecessary and unjust, harm individuals, families, communities, and place a huge financial burden on services, including the NHS, the voluntary and community sector and the economy. So for years we've seen attempts to bridge this inequality gap, and yet the issues remain the same. This conference has been about solutions to these problems. I strongly believe that if the government wishes to level up and do away with a two-tier nation, then it must do the following. First, invest in children's education. Every child in Britain should be guaranteed a world-class education, irrespective of location or family circumstances. A good education leads to better talent in the workforce, more highly qualified, be that academically or vocationally, and it leads to better paid jobs. This then leads to communities of people who want to invest in themselves. A good education leads to good jobs, which produces good areas. We have instead What we'll have instead are children who achieve less educationally. This is what we have, walking into lower paid jobs and by extension continuing the cycle. That has to change. By investing in people, people inevitably invest in themselves. Health, both physical and mental, improves, areas become better, communities become stronger. By investing in the North, the Treasury will see a net impact. Because as things stand, huge sums of money have to be spent fixing the issues that exist. If we alleviate these problems, the NHS will benefit, businesses in the North will benefit, and the economy benefits. Lower wage areas exist primarily in areas of low educational attainment. This leads, on average, to poorer health. Fix the imbalance, and society becomes better off for it. If the objective is a more balanced, fairer society, we've seen during this conference the route to getting there. One of the key asks has been to empower the North, giving us more direct power over ourselves, and it was really encouraging to hear Michael Gove there, echoing what we're saying. Let's face it, the solution, though, will not come from Whitehall. This is the tried and trusted formula, and it's failed. If the North is free from the shackles of centralisation, it can attract world-leading businesses. Holding the fiscal levers and tax tools to incentivise investment is the key to longer-term economic growth. Grants and handouts have never worked. Control over our own economy is the way to rebalance the imbalance. We've also heard, both from myself and other speakers, I feel, the need for a world-class education system in the North, and how do we put this into practice? Well, as Jake said, with more than a nod I felt to Kirsty Alsop, it's vocation, vocation, vocation. We must ensure these highly trained young people that we need learn their skills in the North and stay. So here we have the real tangible examples of what we can do, how to improve the North. Empower the North, give members in this room more say on their lives. Let us have the power to lower taxes, thereby bringing more businesses. Let us invest in education, thereby giving better trained young people better jobs. Let's provide the environment for Northerners to invest in themselves, their health, their communities, and their future. This is what's required, and this is what we will fight for. And lastly, my third and final job for tonight is to recommit to you. You delivered for us and for the country in 2019. It's our job to deliver for you. We, as your voice in Westminster, will fight for a country which is more balanced. We know the task ahead won't be easy, but as already been said, all the greatest inventions and innovations in this country have come from the North. Let's work together to ensure that removing regional inequality will, with your help, be added to this list. And so, on behalf of all my colleagues, thank you and safe journey home.